Even as years pass and crowds remain eager, the sparkle seems dimmer behind the constant bright smile. There's a shift in the energy, a weariness that peeks through rehearsed laughter on stage, where once endless joy radiated. Now, routines feel heavier. Mornings start later, aches linger, an old injury slows her walk, and the vibrant whirlwind of her life has turned quieter. Performances happen less often, but old habits, singing in her living room, humming hopeful tunes, still fill the silence. Visits from family, phone calls with friends, and letters from fans offer moments of warmth. Yet the rooms often echo with quiet. Behind closed doors, hair isn't always done, and glamorous clothes are swapped for soft pajamas. Sometimes memories play tricks. Faces in old photos are harder to place. Words slip away during conversation, and evenings stretch long. The cost of decades in the spotlight weighs against loneliness that fame cannot fix. Nevertheless, in small ways she still tries to spread comfort, writing notes of encouragement and mailing handmade gifts. Yet, the world outside moves on at a pace she doesn't always want to match. And there is a sense that the magic she gave so many now leaves her hoping someone will give a little bit back. Still, the story of resilience shines through each step, even as hard truths come to light. Over the years, this journey was far from easy. Challenges seemed endless, and there were moments when it looked impossible to move forward. In recent times, sharing stories that have been hidden has left fans surprised and deeply moved. These revelations speak of heavy burdens carried in private, moments of heartbreak and sadness that cut deep, showing that despite charm and smiles, real pain lingered in the background. Each time a new chapter from the past is revealed, it is a reminder that some wounds never fully close, and the weight of memories can make even joyful songs carry a note of sorrow. The strength to keep singing and living with hope, especially when difficult stories are told to the world, remains powerful. What stands out is the never-give-up attitude developed in the face of trouble, somehow finding reasons to smile and keep moving. As she lets fans see both tears and laughter, a second layer beneath fame takes shape, showing someone who would not quit even on the hardest days. Adversity became a source of energy instead of defeat, and by telling these personal stories openly, it invites understanding and comfort for others with their own struggles. Growing up in the rugged mountains of Tennessee, Dolly Parton faced a childhood marked by struggle and scarcity. Yet, instead of allowing those early hardships to define her in a negative way, she looked at every challenge as an opportunity to grow stronger. The simplicity of mountain life, where basic needs were sometimes hard to meet, helped Dolly build a tough and compassionate character. She learned early on that grit and perseverance mattered more than material comforts. With a loving but large family, she discovered the importance of standing together, laughter providing warmth when the cold crept in. Dolly carried with her the lessons of working hard and never giving up, no matter how steep the climb. She absorbed the rich musical traditions of her environment and understood how beauty could be found in the most challenging circumstances. While the world around her may have seemed limited, Dolly imagined beyond those borders, always believing that the strength gained from her struggles would launch her into something greater. The hardships and challenges she endured while growing up became the unbreakable supports of her identity, giving her the courage to chase big dreams and remain true to herself. Despite growing up in a large family with 12 children, where every day came with its own share of challenges, Dolly Parton's childhood was shaped by a richness that had nothing to do with material wealth. Her home, nestled in the mountains, often rang with the laughter and chatter of siblings who leaned on one another. Life was not easy, but there was a strong, unspoken bond of love and contentment that kept everyone going. Dolly's grandfather, who served as the local pastor, provided spiritual guidance and a sense of community. Through his teachings and example, family and faith became cornerstones of Dolly's upbringing, offering her a sense of purpose and hope even when times were lean. Her father faced the daily reality of financial struggle, working incredibly hard to keep food on the table, all the while unable to read or write. Despite his illiteracy, he never allowed hardship to define them, relying instead on perseverance. Her mother was the heart of their home, fiercely determined to look after her family despite her constant struggle with poor health. Even on days when her strength waned, she managed to care for her children, her warmth and resilience shaping the very fabric of Dolly's early years. These experiences wove together a powerful foundation of love, determination, and faith that would echo throughout Dolly's life and music, reminding her of the true richness that comes not from money, but from the bonds of family and the strength of the human spirit. Surrounded by the green hills and simple life of Locust Ridge, Dolly grew up in a small cabin that always seemed full of music and laughter, even when times were hard. The worn floorboards and homemade curtains told stories of generations before her, but it was the farm itself, with its wildflowers and the whistle of mountain winds, that filled Dolly's mind with melodies. The land offered a rhythm of its own, from the clucking of chickens to the sound of rain on the tin roof, and these rhythms seeped into her heart. Early on, Dolly's family spent Sundays in the small country church, where gospel songs filled the air. Voices of neighbors and family would swell during hymns, echoing through the mountain hollows. Watching her parents and siblings sing, Dolly learned that music was more than entertainment. It was a way to carry hope, love, and sorrow. By the age of 7, the pull to create her own music grew strong. Dolly's uncle, Bill Owens, recognized her fire and made her a homemade guitar. The guitar was rough but could hold a tune, and she learned by ear, plucking out simple songs. Each day, she played just a little longer, guided by her uncle's gentle words and encouragement. She started to write her own songs. Stories poured through the strings, inspired by what she saw around her. The hard-working folks of the hills, the beauty of the fields, and the longing for something bigger. Dolly's earliest songs captured the smiles and struggles of her family, and she sang them in the evenings on the cabin's front porch. These humble beginnings in Locust Ridge gave Dolly's music a deep honesty that touched listeners far beyond her Tennessee home. Her roots, tangled in the red clay and mountain air, became the wellspring from which decades of music would flow, always returning to the lessons first learned in that cabin and the little church down the road. From an early age, Dolly Parton stood out with her exceptional musical gifts, sharing her voice and songs on local radio and television long before most children even dream of performing for an audience. At just 13, she managed to record her very first song, an impressive feat that pointed to the remarkable journey waiting for her. The bright lights of Nashville soon called, and she found herself on the Grand Ole Opry stage, a place reserved for only the most promising talents in country music. This early exposure placed her among legends at a young age, and showed she belonged with them. Despite this early promise, her initial singles with Monument Records failed to catch the public's ear. The music simply didn't spark the excitement she hoped for, and the lack of attention could have discouraged anyone else. Still, Dolly did not let these setbacks get in her way. Her dedication to her craft never faded. She wanted music that felt true to her, leaning toward her Appalachian roots and the stories she knew best. Her desire to move from the pop-styled songs at Monument Records into pure country became a turning point, shaping the path that led to her legendary status. This pursuit to bring her voice and stories into country music set the foundation for everything that came next, proving that persistence and staying true to one's passion could turn humble beginnings into something unforgettable. When Dolly Parton first sang Happy, Happy Birthday Baby, something clicked for her in the music world. She did not just become recognized, she caught the attention of listeners and industry insiders alike. Soon after, her solo album Hello, I'm Dolly arrived in 1967, making an even bigger impact. The songs on that record showed her clear voice and the way she could tell a story, drawing in country music fans and setting her apart from others in Nashville. Yet, the real turning point in her career came when she joined Porter Wagoner's show. This partnership was more than just taking the stage with another singer. It was a chance for Dolly to reach a much wider audience. The show was popular and trusted by country music lovers, and by performing there, Dolly's profile soared. Working with Porter Wagoner not only boosted her fame, but also widened her connections with other musicians, producers, and songwriters. These relationships helped her get more opportunities in the industry. As her songs played to millions on television, Dolly began to be seen not just as a talented singer and songwriter, but as a strong presence in the world of country music, one who would continue to shape its direction for years to come. Despite 7 years of steady work and recognition on Porter Wagoner's show, Dolly Parton made the difficult decision to leave and build a path as a solo artist. Leaving the security of a popular program meant venturing into a music world that often did not welcome women as leaders or creative forces. During this time, she faced many obstacles that came from men who controlled much of the music business, often making assumptions about what women could or should do, both in songs and in their careers. Her ambition and unique voice stood out, but the road was far from easy. After establishing herself even further as a singer and songwriter, she tried to expand into television with her own variety show in the 1970s. She hoped this show would let her connect with people in a new way, displaying her humor, warmth, and musical talent. However, That experience turned out to be disappointing. The show lasted only one season, and it left her feeling frustrated. Later, she admitted that agreeing to do the show was a mistake for her, describing how the constraints of the production kept her from showing her true self. Instead of feeling free or supported, she felt boxed in, unable to showcase her authentic personality and artistic vision. The brief run, and her own reflections revealed that even when she tried to branch out, the entertainment world was not always willing to let her be fully herself, and her attempt at a television venture highlighted just how complicated and challenging this period of her solo career really was. At first, the success of certain chart-topping songs left Dolly Parton with complicated feelings about her place in commercial music. Yet the unstoppable popularity of a song like 9 to 5 eventually tipped the balance in her favor. That breakthrough single brought not just international fame, but also a new level of creative freedom and authority over her own musical journey. As she saw her ideas and signature style reach a massive audience, Dolly gradually gained leverage in an industry that didn't always accept genuine artistic voices, especially from women. Moving past the stage and the recording studio, she envisioned something even greater, a place that would combine her musical heritage, the spirit of her Tennessee roots, and opportunities for families to experience joy together. In 1986, she introduced Dollywood, taking over an existing theme park and shaping it into something unique and reflective of her values and background. The start wasn't easy, facing more than one setback and several incidents that could have discouraged a less determined person. Still, her energy and optimism drove continual improvements, expanding the park's reach and welcoming visitors from around the country. Dollywood soon stood as more than just a tourist attraction. It became a symbol of creative ambition fueled by a lifetime of overcoming obstacles, echoing the very path Dolly took through the music world. Over the years, pain and heartbreak have followed closely behind Dolly Parton despite her public joy and successes. After years of giving her heart to family and friends, she faced the pain of losing her niece, Parton, in 2017. The devastating loss left an empty place in her family, as Tever was not only family but also a source of light and connection. Only a year later, sadness struck again when her brother Floyd Parton passed away in 2018. Their bond had always been special, with Floyd contributing to Dolly's music and supporting her behind the scenes. Each loss was deeply personal, touching not just her heart, but also shaking the foundation of family ties that carried her through the hard days. In addition to losing those closest by blood, Dolly also had to say goodbye to her longtime manager Don Warden, who had stood by her side for more than half a century. He was more than a colleague, he was a trusted friend and steady guide as Dolly navigated a career filled with both achievements and challenges. The heartache of bereavement spread beyond her work life, especially as she dealt with the death of her close friend and fellow country singer Kenny Rogers. Their friendship had lasted through decades of collaboration and music, making his departure feel like the loss of a family member. Facing one tragedy after another, she leaned on memories and the warmth that these relationships had given her, finding ways to honor their legacy while moving forward through her own sorrow. Even though Dolly Parton is best known for her bright smile and iconic voice, 2017 brought a rare moment of openness about the tougher experiences behind her cheerful image. At that time, she revealed details about times of hardship, especially the emotional weight of her open marriage to Carl Dean. The unique challenges of their relationship became more difficult to bear as the years went on. Dolly described how the personal sacrifices she made for her career often drew her away from family life. The couple made a decision not to have children, and this was partly because of Dolly's dedication to her music and work, but health issues also played a role. She was sometimes overwhelmed by sadness over not becoming a mother, leading to a stretch of deep depression that few people saw. These moments became even harder whenever she felt like she was falling short in areas that mattered to her, especially at home. She admitted to facing thoughts of suicide during particularly heavy times. Her struggle was never simple or one-sided. The combination of dealing with a non-traditional marriage and the pain of childlessness left her feeling isolated, even when surrounded by friends, fans, and a thriving career. Both she and Carl had to navigate gossip, distance, and expectations, all while hiding their own pain. For Dolly, music was the one space where she could speak out in her own way, but nothing could really replace the absence she sometimes felt in her private life. These dark days didn't take away her kindness or sense of humor, but they left marks that wouldn't simply fade with applause or success. Instead, Dolly learned how to carry the weight moving forward even with pieces unhealed, and shared just enough to remind others that behind every dazzling performance there can be heartbreak and struggle hidden from view. Even after her many years in music, Dolly's heart for others shines just as brightly as her stage presence. Her generous spirit can be seen through the work she has done, most notably through the Imagination Library program. Deeply believing in the power of reading, Dolly began sending free books to children so that every child, regardless of their background, would have the joy of receiving new stories in the mail. The program has put millions of books into the hands and homes of families, opening new worlds for children who may never have had a library of their own. Alongside her dedication to childhood literacy, she has also shown compassion and quick support for community needs. During the devastating wildfires that swept through parts of Tennessee, Dolly contributed help and resources to support those affected. She did more than just donate money. She inspired others to help by raising funds and providing support to families who lost their homes and livelihoods. Her life and actions provide a lasting example of how success can be shared and multiplied through giving, and her efforts continue to bring comfort and hope to people facing hard